I have the honor to ask Mr. Gaurav Gupta, the chairman of GTTCI, to make his presentation. Mr. Gupta, you have.
Thank you, Mr. Jason. His Excellency, High Commissioner Mauritius, distinguished guests, diplomats from different countries, guests, members, and people from travel countries. Today is the honor of GTCI to host this event with the support of His Excellency. We are doing a lot of things already with Mauritius and Messi, and we are proud to have a GTC India Mauritius Forum already launched in month of July, and this is our third activity with Mauritius. I need not to say anything about Mauritius tourism because we have many eminent panelists today, but I must admit, it is one of the beautiful country close to India and having a diversified tourism. And the other beauty is that it has year-round tourism. We have the panel Mr. Indiraji also with us, who will be sharing and giving some highlights about more on the tourism.
Ladies and gentlemen, good evening and welcome. My name is Indiraji. I'm a travel journalist and author. I also wanted to say I'm a consultant, but wherever you go to a party, you meet consultant after consultant, and so I dropped that. Thank you very much for giving me an opportunity to come and moderate this evening. And then when they chose this topic, I realized that, well, this is what I've grown up in. I've been doing this for 45 years now. It's quite a long time to be doing something or not doing something, whatever it is. So thank you for coming. I took the liberty of inviting some very eminent people from the tourism field. There is Mrs. Jyoti Mayal sitting right here. She's the president of TAI, Travel Agents Association of India, one of the nodal bodies in India. Very old, very established, and everybody in the industry, more or less, is a TAI member. Seated just behind her is Randeep Rar, who is a very senior travel personality. He's worked for all the big travel companies and now branched off on his own. Just behind him is Mr. Lajpat Rai, who is arguably one of the most dynamic tour operators in this country. And he is the man who opened the door to Japan some 45 years ago. He also owns hotels in the Buddhist circuit in India. And next to him is Mr. Ravi Gosai, who is the vice president of IATO, Indian Association of Tour Operators. Now, between TAI and IATO, I think they control 95% of India's travel trade, and their membership spans everybody. Tour operators, travel agents, tourism boards, airliners, hoteliers, you name it, everybody, transporters, even journalists, imagine. So it's wonderful to have them here. And the topic is such that this is something they have grown up in. This is something they live and breathe every day. So I thought, why not ask them to come and share their views. Before I actually ask them to do that, I wanted to say that this business of emerging trends, it's a little dicey. Because when you say emerging trends in 2000 so-and-so, it doesn't necessarily mean that the trends started or emerged at that time. Some of these trends emerged earlier, but each year they are fructifying, they are taking form. And I'd like to share 3 or 4 of these trends in my perception as a travel journalist for so many years now. You know, those days are gone when young people wanted to just go sit in a coach and have a guide sort of speak on the mic. They want experiential holidays, they want immersive holidays. You have more Indians and more Europeans now doing scuba diving, snorkeling. This was unheard of 20 years ago. But now they're doing it because they want to be hands-on. for me, that is an emerging trend. I think it will go further and further, but it is an emerging trend. The other thing I've noticed very much, we were discussing also, Ranveer and I, you have business travel and you have leisure travel. And in leisure travel, you also have honeymoon travel, romantic travel, you name it. But there is a growing trend of these two being combined, which makes a lot of sense. The third thing that I have noticed in my life is that when it comes to quality of holidays, people are not interested in saving money. They don't mind spending more money, provided you give them good service. And I believe the Indian travel industry, like everything else Indian, is world class. It's truly world class. Just look at India today. Not a single hotel has a single room, thanks to the travel trade. After all, they are the ones who sell it. And the fourth thing I'd like to mention is that when people talk about emerging trends, what's going to happen in travel, who's going to be traveling, I have been saying something for the last 20 years and I'm sticking to my guns. You're wasting your time if you're not looking at women. Because women hold the key to the success of the travel industry. It is women who are now traveling more in groups. They are doing things which they didn't want to think of doing 10 years ago because the circumstances didn't allow it, but today they have it. Delhi alone has about 500 women's groups. I know because I give talks to them. I like giving travel talks. So my tip to the travel trade is that concentrate heavily on the woman traveler because she's the one with the mega money and she's the one with the time.
Our own Prime Minister, Mr. Modi, is always talking about tourism and he's always encouraging us to actually sell more and more in India, within India, towards domestic tourism or inbound. And I think tourism has a huge opportunity and the emerging trends that are coming forward are many. As a matter, I'd love to ask that question to you maybe in the end, that you could do that, and what are the trends that you look at? Because I think post-COVID, our lives have changed. Our lives have changed and it's gone much beyond just travel. And Indraji was very right saying business and leisure. This becomes pleasure for us today. We actually market it as pleasure. And pleasure holds a very big portion and a part of tourism today because everyone who's going for business wants to carry their family around with them. Not because they want to or because they don't want to. The main thought in the mind is that we need to be together. And that's what we say tourism has grown because we started respecting our relationships more. We started inculcating love and our fondness for our people and friends around. So that tourism is absolutely on the rise. And I say that very effectively because I think all the stats show that tourism as pleasure has really emerged. We are still not sure where tourism is going when we talk about emerging tourism because we don't know what the geopolitical situation is going to be around. We really don't know what, how the world is going to be changing, how COVID is going to be evolving, how things are going to really progress when we move forward. But today, everyone is talking about tourism, so they are planning, and that's where the first thing that is emerging, and we've noticed that and on our data that comes to us, is surprise travel. People are looking at last moment travel, people are looking at adventure travel, people are looking at surprise travel. They don't even want to know which destination they are going to. And I was very amazed at the study which was done. 52% of the people said that we want to make it a surprise travel, that wherever we go, we just want to explore new destinations with our loved ones so that we can move forward. The second thing that is emerging very strongly, of course, is wellness breaks. Everyone today wants to go for a wellness break, and I see a lot of people have been talking about this and they have been really indulging in that because wellness breaks are something which everyone is looking at. Because post-COVID again, so the hindsight of COVID is that we are actually using our time to actually evolve more, to enjoy life much more because we don't know what the lifespan of each and every one of us is. UK had done a recent survey and they saw the third emerging trend was music tourism because people wanted to forget what life was all about and they have written a huge article on this, and the survey says it, that music tourism is something that people are evolving in. They want to go where they can just unwind, dance their way around, sing aloud with anyone. It could be strangers or it could be anyone. Another emerging trend I would say is palette tourism, which is culinary. And I think culinary tourism is one thing which is again on the rise. People are indulging in foods, and again that comes to your enjoyment. We all need to enjoy life and move forward. And of course, the last one is the cultural and I would call it more of sustainable tourism, because I think that's not only the buzzword, but now the youth and all the young ones especially, and India as a youth country is really evolving in all this. One thing that's driving all these emerging trends is technology for sure. Technology is the one which we all want to experience. Technology is something which is actually igniting our tourism trends and also our feelings. So AI, virtual reality, all these things are absolutely in the making of tourism. As a matter of just a survey which we did recently in Thai was that everyone wanted to see the place, and that comes through movies and all these OTT channels are carrying, that you want to see and visit the place before you really visit there. So a lot of new trends are coming in that aspect, that we need to really do that. I think I have overdone my time and we need to go forward, but yes, thank you so much for giving me that opportunity.
Thank you. Thank you so much for the presentation. Mauritius, so the tourism sector is a very important pillar in the Mauritian economy. So it's one of the major sectors of the economy. And I would now like to invite the High Commissioner, His Excellency Ambassador Dillum, to talk to us about the global trends and also the emerging global tourism trends in Mauritius. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Well, group to distinguished guests, representatives from the diplomatic club, I would say, Dr. Gupta, founder of GTTCI, and representatives from the hospitality sector, from the tourism sector, from the travel trade sector, and distinguished guests. First of all, I would like to welcome you all to this event, and you have responded to our invitation to attend this event, which is the start of the new year. And when Dr. Gupta told me that we need to organize an event, first thing that came to my mind is tourism sector, because this is an emerging sector, as Jyoti just mentioned, highlighted on this sector. So, I take this opportunity also to wish you, your family, a very prosperous and happy new year. I have a special word for the thanks, I should say, to Dr. Gupta, founder of the GTTCI, and especially his team for organizing this event. And I take also this opportunity to congratulate him. I think he has kept it a secret for his second conferment of the honoris causa by the Cambridge Online University after the conferment of Sorbonne doctorate. And I think he deserves an applause for such a wonderful work that he is doing, for his outstanding commitment in fostering global relations. Well, today's topic is very interesting. The trend of tourism for the next decade or for the next year. And the topic, why I say interesting, because this has come up after the COVID-19. When COVID-19 came, many countries which were dependent on tourism faced a lot of difficulties. And the economy was completely collapsed. Collapsed in the sense that the bread and butter of many people in those countries were from the tourism sector. So how tourism? I think we never realized how tourism started. Tourism, in fact, started with pilgrims. When in the old days, pilgrims used to travel But then Thomas Cook came in, and Thomas Cook started organizing it in such a efficient manner, reliable manner, providing some security to these pilgrims. And today, tourism has become an important sector, an important backbone, I would say, of the economy of many countries. Travel and tourism contributes to around, I will base my intervention on facts and figures and on various reports that has come out on world tourism. And these relates to some statistics which reflect really the impact of tourism on our economy and the world's economy. Tourism, travel and tourism, you can imagine, contributes to around 10% of the share of global GDP, and around 320 million jobs are supported by travel and tourism. So you can, this gives an idea how much we are dependent on tourism. Tourism is also projected to grow in the next decade, reaching $155 trillion by 2023, by this year. It is expected that the industry will account to more than 11.6% of the global economy, which is a 50% rise of its value in pre-COVID 2019. Employment opportunities are expected to increase to over 430 million. I just mentioned about the figure, and you can see how the trend is on tourism, how the emphasis on tourism, that it has jumped to 430 million jobs, or it represents 12% of the total working population of the world. So indicative of this dynamism, a recent report indicated that 34 countries have already exceeded the 2019 peak tourism performance. Many countries, especially the SEEDS countries, including Mauritius, were highly affected by this COVID-19. According to the latest report, and this report is the World Economic Outlook report, which came out in October 2023, the global economy will grow an estimated of 3% in 2023 and 2.9% in 2024. While this is higher than in previous forecasts, it is nevertheless below the 3.5% rate of growth recorded in 2022 due to the continuing impact of the pandemic, the different conflicts around the globe, and the cost of living crisis. The same report identifies tourism as a key driver of economic recovery and growth. So this is a report, a world report that has been made on tourism and its forecast. It says that tourism will be the key driver of economic recovery and growth. Furthermore, the same report with the latest data shows that international tourism has continued to recover from the worst crisis in its history, as arrival numbers reached 84% of pre-pandemic levels between January and July last year. The Middle East, Europe, and Africa lead the global sector's rebound. Tourism demand continues to show remarkable resilience and sustained recovery, even in the face of economic and geopolitical challenges. The tourism barometer shows that 700 million tourists traveled internationally between January and July last year. That is 43% more than in the same month of 2022. So all world regions enjoy strong rates of tourism recovery over the first 7 months of 2023, driven by demand for international travel from several large source markets. Some figures again, which region benefited. The Middle East reported the best result in January, while with arrivals 20% above the pre-pandemic levels. Europe, the world's largest destination region, reached 91% of the pre-pandemic levels. In Asia and the Pacific, recovery accelerated to 61% of pre-pandemic arrival levels. All these figures show again that many countries, with the drastic measures they have taken, they have recovered from the effects, the impact of COVID-19. Now, these are international trends. Let me bring to you, short while bring you for a travel of 6.5 hours from India to Mauritius. Mauritius, a tiny island, a beautiful island, which is often recovered, often known as a star and key of the Indian Ocean. People always, those who have already been to Mauritius, they love it. They love it, and they can also go back again to Mauritius. For the hospitality, the country itself with its natural pristine beaches, not only beaches, we have taken, I will talk later about the environmental issues, but still we have taken various measures also to see that the environment is maintained. Now, the tourism sector is also a very vital part of the country's economy and is an important source for business, for income, for employment purposes, contributing about 24% of the GDP. Tourism has a direct and indirect impact on related sectors like the transport, handicraft, food processing, SMEs, creating job opportunities, income, and local government revenue. Green tourism has gained widespread acceptance in the tourism industry over the world, including Mauritius. We are now moving towards responsible, sustainable, socially innovative tourism. The national policy of the government policy, I would say, provide Mauritius as a premium destination focusing on quality rather than quantity. Sustainability has been the guiding principle. Environmental issues are high on the agenda of the government with a view to transforming and reshaping tourism in our country. Mauritius is also known for offering a safe and friendly environment into the visitors. And it is among the most safest, I would say, destination as the government maintains a safe environment for the visitors. In terms of cultural tourism, Mauritius has an incredible inland architectural heritage. Just in the capital city of Port-Louis, we have around 800 historic buildings. And 2 UNESCO sites, which is very famous, is Apravasi Ghat, where the Indian church laborers first landed in the island, and also Limon, which is also related to slavery. Now, Mauritius started working towards a very actively involved, of course, with more vibrant cultural tourism sector to rehabilitate the country's cultural assets and support infrastructure. Mauritius is also, now we're talking a lot about medical tourism. Medical tourism is also one of the priorities, and today we find people from different regions, from Africa, from Europe, from Asia, they also go mixing tourism as well as the medical, because of course health is very important. So this is also an ideal destination when it comes to medical tourism, allowing guests to also enjoy a relaxing vacation while improving the health or looks. Among the crowd, I can see we have a representative from Artemis Hospital. You can support me what I have been saying. They have already a branch there, and the hospital just started, is doing very well. So they are providing medical tourism, taking care of those tourists visiting our island. They say that it's an old saying that Mark Twain, when he had to create heaven, he was in difficulty. So he made a tour of the whole world to find out what type of heaven that he could make, and he landed up in Mauritius. This is how he copied heaven. So in a way, it is a heaven. It's not that I come from Mauritius. Those who have been to Mauritius, they have always supported saying that Mauritius is, of course, a paradise on earth. And those who have not been, it is not only a destination for holiday makers, but or for honeymooners, but it's all for all ages. You can go there. Those who are reaching 60s, you can celebrate your birthday anniversaries, marriage ceremonies. Also taking it now. It's coming up very, very, very fast. People, they also, it's a good destination for marriage. So a lot of people also considering Mauritius as their destination. Now, in order to increase tourism flow, there is a visa free for Indians. You can go there, you have your ticket, you book your hotel, you land there, on arrival you are provided a visa free. So, if you see the trend of Indians visiting Mauritius, because of the excellent bilateral relations we have with India, I would just go back a few months ago when India hosted the G20 meeting. You will recall that Mauritius was invited as a guest country. This shows the bond of friendship, the relations, brotherly relations that we have in India. But I would say very clearly that India does not do justice as concerns tourism. We have been inviting people to visit Mauritius. There has been an increase in the number of Mauritians visiting India. India as a tourist, visiting India as a pilgrimage. But on the other side, I think we still have a target. And this year, we are expecting that tourists from India will shoot up to more than 100,000 visitors from India. So I hope this will materialize. We have Air Mauritius representative is here, and the hospitality sector is here. I know I will make an appeal to all the stakeholders that we all work together to let us realize this dream of 100,000 tourists visiting from India. Now, connectivity, of course, I know, we do recognize that there was a difficulty with regard to connectivity because seats were not available, and there was a lot of visitors, people traveling, but now connectivity is smooth. We have several flights. Vistara has introduced daily flights from Mumbai. We have Vistara flights, direct flights from Delhi. We have Air Mauritius flights direct from Delhi. Now we have free flights, in fact, of Air Mauritius. We have also connecting flight through Dubai. So I think this problem has been solved, so there is no problem. And it's just 6.5 hours. The travel time is so convenient that you leave here in the morning or you leave here at night, and early morning you're already at your destination, providing best comfort by Air Mauritius, by Vistara, and very soon Indigo is also planning to introduce its flight to Mauritius. And one more flight that is coming is from Chennai. And there has been a strong request from people from Bangalore to introduce one direct flight from Bangalore. And I think because of flight issues, we have not been able to put that into account, but definitely it will come. Now, we are very confident that if you have not yet planned your visit, please do plan your visit. Connectivity, I have already explained. We have already, this issue is no more, so you will take advantage of visiting Mauritius. Now, let us see some last part. What are the challenges, like the trend we spoke about the trend of tourism, but what are the challenges? Challenges are a lot. I'm not talking about Mauritius here, but in general. You know, the issue of uncontrolled development. Environment is spoiled. And local people start feeling an alienation to tourism. I think this is the greatest challenge that we have. If we don't look at environment, if we don't see that, if you just concentrate on having more tourists, and if you don't have a plan for environment, I think it will fail. And also some of the challenges that we have is possibilities of cultural classes. How visitors and local should be made aware of the difference. The demonstration impact where local starts imitating the lifestyle of visitors without understanding the cultural differences is real. And this should also be addressed together. When the trend is increasing for tourism sector, we should know that these cultural differences should not exist. That even the local people, it's very good now. We have the many countries are promoting, local, like people you go, have people to people contact, which is very important. And hospitality, of course, if you're in the hospitality sector, you need to have the people to people contact. And I know, I can see from the Malaysia, Simran and the managers here, I know how they are doing to have these people to people contact, and they are able to, earn not only the the hearts of the people. The importance of education and skills development in the sector is also very important. And here I would just refer to India. India was the first country in the world to introduce tourism as a curriculum as an undergraduate level in 1972 at the University of Delhi. And I know after that, after 72, a lot of graduates came out from the Delhi University and they were all involved in the promotion of tourism for the respective countries. From India, of course, and those who studied, and they accepted international students, and those international students who did tourism, they became the champion, they became the officials, technical people to promote their country. So skills development is very important. Of course, you have also to see the trend is fast emerging, but you also need to see that you have the skills, the manpower, the people, the technical people, you need to provide them the necessary training. So these are also one of the challenges in the tourism sector. Now COVID impact, we all know the impact of COVID-19 and what we need, and this has also been highlighted during the tourism meeting, G20 tourism meeting that was held in Goa, that there should be a mechanism, because COVID-19 came, we were unprepared, but for the tourism sector, we need to put an international mechanism to address issues that are faced if, for example, if and when such epidemic starts again or it comes up, you need to have that international mechanism to protect us. Now, of course, connectivity is important. Connectivity in terms of maritime, air connectivity is very important, and these are some of the challenges that is important while we think about the trend or the future of tourism. Another aspect is the stakeholders. The private sector and the public sector should go together. Without the cooperation, without the support of the private sector and the government, we will not be able to achieve what we want to achieve in tourism. So this is also a sector which needs due consideration and given the importance. Now, so in spite of this global economic uncertainty, in spite of the challenges, year 2023 was a great year for travel and tourism. We should be optimistic for the year 2024. And 2024, we are very optimistic that will be better for the tourism sector. So let us all, because why we feel that 2024, as Jyoti also highlighted on it, is that the craze, the willingness to travel, to go for adventures is very strong. Not only with the young, but with all generations, the craze is there. So we feel very optimistic that 2024 will be a bright year for the tourism sector. So let us all, stakeholders, travel agencies, the hospitality sector, the services sector, the hotel industry, all work together to make the tourism of tomorrow the tourism of the future. Thank you.
clear, comprehensive, and I think it's a very interesting presentation. I know you have a lot of questions, so I would ask any of you if you have questions and clarifications. Now is the time, please. And afterwards, we will continue with the other presentations.
I think it's a very pertinent question, and you rightly say that the environment is very important for the tourism sector. Now, environment, why I say it's very important. You know how you need to have, that's why I can give an example of this. We maintain on quality. And how we can maintain on quality if we don't look at the environment? So a lot of, I would say, measures have been taken, and all those environmental measures are related to tourism or to improving the quality of life of people. We have a target in 2023 set up by the United Nations on environment, and we are trying to implement word by word what is there in the report. So in that case, you see tourism, before giving, for example, a license to the construction of a hotel, we see that the EIA, environmental impact assessment, is done properly. What would be its effect? And of course, airlines also we have also, we don't, as I said, quality is important. So environment and tourism should go always together. Environment, we don't try, we are small island states, we have erosion, soil erosion. You will see on the beaches, there is erosion. So we feel that if we don't take concrete actions to stop this erosion, it will adversely affect our tourism sector. So the government has invested a lot to preserve greenery. Greenery is of course everywhere where we can. We started planting trees everywhere. And even the beaches, a lot of investment has been done by the government. Of course, with the support of the private sector. That's why I highlighted that if you want environment to be clean, if you want environment to be, because of course, this is what you are doing is not doing for your own self. It is doing, what you are doing is for the next generation. If our generation, last generation have not done so, probably would have been in a very worse situation. So this is how government is very much conscious that environment and tourism should go together. If you don't have this, you will not be able to. That's why when I say when you go to Mauritius, it's just like it's your first love, and people never forget the first love. So going to Mauritius is that it becomes a memorable thing, and we want to make it memorable for everyone by preserving our environment.
Thank you. Thank you very much. That is actually the cornerstone of what is mentioned here about trends. Because in my opinion, what we are going through today is called revenge tourism. The COVID hit us so badly, we couldn't move out of our homes. So the moment the bans were lifted, there was virtually a crush. Based on what Excellency said, with Mauritius as a wonderful role model, Ravi Gosai, I have a point for you, Ravi. I just want to ask you, from what Excellency said, a takeoff is that you need to educate the people in tourism. So just from IATO's point of view, are you also concentrating now on educating your members about the environment?
Yes, thank you, Mr. Alvaria. It's very important that all people who are working in tourism sector. It's okay.
We like you to say.
Also mention something which triggered off my thought that from what I can gather, Mauritius is a very delicate product because of its size and because of the fact that it's an island. And your own trips which you were showing talked about the island spread. So how do you balance and safeguard that? Because you have to safeguard a place like Mauritius. And what you mentioned was sort of touched on that. Do you have very strict laws in tourism? Are the laws enacted? Sorry,
No, it's okay.
Emphasizing on him because what he said made so much sense that I felt we should go forward with that.
Yeah, no, it's a pertinent question. Mauritius is a small island. You know, if you travel, really, if you want to travel from north to south, it takes only 45 minutes. And from east to west, again 45 minutes. I think you have that. But with, of course, with a bit of traffic jam, because you have to cross through Port Louis, the capital city. But now we are diversifying the route so that you don't cross through Port Louis. So it's easier, you can travel. A small island, which is so small, especially compared to, you know, when we talk about India itself, even a small like Noida would be, I think, size of Mauritius. But we have a population of 1.3 million population, 1.3 million population, and the size of, can mention any place here, Delhi. But we have 1.3 million tourists visiting the country. So there must be, you know, it is of course a good destination for people to travel. And I know when I was in Belgium, we were also doing some road show like this, and one person came and approached me. He said, "Thank you very much for this presentation. I have made 94 travel to Mauritius." He said that. So I said, why have you traveled to so many times? So he said, every year he goes to celebrate his birthday. Next year he goes for his wife's birthday. And then his marriage ceremonies, you know, going, and at times bringing his children. So, you know, the balance, as you say, we need to see all proper legislations also. We have legislations controlling the houses. You know, many people now, especially those who go for the first time, they go for big hotels. But actually, when you go for the second time, most of them don't go to hotels because you have a lot of villas. They rather go to villas, they are provided everything. They go, of course, to the 5-star for breakfast or for lunch or for dinner, but they save a lot of money. Instead of staying 1 week, they stay for 2 or 3 weeks. So, of course, legislations, without legislation, we can't do anything. We have control, we have a tourism police, which caters for all these, as you say, for the environment. They have surprise visits to those homes, surprise visit to those recreational centers. They have surprise visit to even 5-star hotels. And if you don't abide by those restrictions that have been put in place, you have a heavy fine to pay. So this deter them not to do anything illegal.
Thank you very much, Excellency. On the subject of emerging trends in tourism, Mr. Lashpat Rai, I have a question for you. You know, we talk about all segments of tourism, but we don't talk enough about religious tourism. And India is a world leader in religious tourism. When you look at the number of Indians who travel from one part of India to another part on a pilgrimage, it is mind-boggling. I think the government of India deserves a lot of credit for that. As a man who, you know, you've got properties on the Buddhist circuit, do you feel that the emphasis of religious tourism and added importance to religious tourism is an emerging trend?
First of all, thank you very much for inviting. You see, as far as Mauritius goes, it's one of the most beautiful places I have ever visited. I visited Mauritius almost 24 years ago. And religious tourism to promote in Mauritius, I don't know how much we can do it, but tourism from India to Mauritius, must be promoted and only high-end tourism must be promoted, because Mauritius is a very small and beautiful island. So my idea is that we do tourism like Bhutan is doing, or now Sri Lanka is doing, that you put a cap and only this number can be visited, or that kind of a money to be paid. Only then you can restrict. Tourism, religious tourism from Mauritius to India is possible, because most of the people living in Mauritius are from Indian origin. And promoting this Ayodhya ji and now Kashi Vishwanath, the people have so much of interest from Mauritius also, that they may not be visiting to Buddhist circuit, but to this circuit, they would definitely like to come. This is my opinion.
But is religious tourism getting more importance now
Yes.
in India?
100% is getting more importance.
Okay, that's good to know, because the numbers in the tourism sector of religion and pilgrimage are mind-boggling.
It's very reminding.
I mean, we talk about business travel and leisure travel, but it's religious travel, which I think needs a little bit more direction. So thank you very much for that. Ranveer, I have a question for you. Yes.
Mr.
Sure.
I'd just like to share something for
Sure,
everyone.
please.
Just to add what you mentioned about the religious tourism. Actually, when we look at Mauritius, I've been associated with Mauritius and I've worked very closely with the local population also. And of course, I share their faith also. So, they have got certain actually points which are very powerful and that can be marketed very well. They're not very well known here in the market. One of them is the Grand Bassin, which is the where you have got the Shiva, very big temple, and we call them a Ganga Talav also. So you see the kind of a religious commitment they have got towards it. That is a spectacle, to see itself. That is one. They also have got. If you see on the religious, there is another point that is being used by the people who are the energy seekers. Of the vortex points. So in the vortex point on the northern side, we have got a Ganesha temple, which itself, is being perceived that Mauritius is kind of a center of the, so where people, if there has been an experience, when people go and they come back neutralized. So those kind of we have got some points there which can be, made available to the people, and then the very niche people who actually see you move little above from the religious sector to this, they move and do visit their places. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Ravi, I wanted to come back to that point we discussed, which was relevant. You see, you have, as I said, leisure tourism, you have business tourism, conference tourism, everything. But this business of combining leisure and business tourism, which is taking shape today around the world, don't you feel that this is going to give a huge boost to the industry?
Thank you for inviting me over here. Looking at your subject of emerging tourism, you've got changing tourism and creating tourism also, which is part of it, depending on the situation and circumstances in the market.
Right.
Post-COVID, the whole situation changed, circumstances changed, and people had to go to places which were less crowded or offbeat in order to get away from a place where they were locked in. And therefore, what happened is a lot of corporate companies, etc., went into places which were offbeat destinations, stayed there for a month or two, brought their entire key people in a team in, and as long as they had good Wi-Fi connectivity, they could do business anywhere in the world with who was operating. So that was the business aspect which went into a leisure destination. Then a lot of other factors changed about offices, rental spaces, real estate, etc., where companies moved out of offices, work from home concepts came into the market, etc., which still continue, and now there's a resistance for people to go back to work. So what is happening, a lot of people now are also combining business and leisure travel together. So therefore today a company is more open-minded that if you're going to X destination, which they are paying for, you can stay on for 2 or 3 days at your own cost and explore the leisure.
You see this growing in the future?
I think so, because you see, the hotels, etc., also got limited capacities. The demand is much more than the supply. Therefore, price factors kick in on the equation, etc. I have worked in all aspects of the business. I've run small travel companies myself and owned them, which I have made them larger, and I work for the largest Indian companies as well as international companies. So the rule and the factor is different for every size, because so many factors come in, and therefore also what you would like to do apply differently for a state board, for an airline, for a hotelier, for an entrepreneur, for an adventure company, for somebody in homestays, etc. So I mean, there's huge scope. You've got to find your niche segment that you can excel in.
So you are totally for it, combining leisure and business groups.
It's anyway going to happen. If a person has a laptop and he's in a place, he can go and spend the entire day
It's
sightseeing
happening all over Africa.
and give his report at midnight.
Yeah.
So both sides are taken care of.
Thank you very much for that. Mr. Subhash Goel is here. He's one of the senior most persons in the Indian travel industry. I believe they completed 50 years. Mr. Goel, one point I have, which I wanted to address to you. Ever since I started travel writing, which was also a long time ago, people said Indian tourism is very strong, very vibrant, but it lacks direction. I used to ask them what they meant. I said, elaborate what you mean. And nobody could answer my question. I feel that we were never short of a direction. We always had a direction. That's why we are doing so well. What are your views on this?
Well, thank you very much. Firstly, can I ask one question? How many of you been to Mauritius? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, maximum 10. So the world is divided into two, those who've been to Mauritius and those who haven't. And the majority of you have not been to Mauritius. So it's high time. The airline people are here, tourism board is here, High Commissioner is here, and you don't need a visa. You see, it's visa on arrival. So you must, see one of the most beautiful islands in the world. When I first, Excellency, went to Mauritius, I was a part of the CII delegation, and there was a show, and the Prime Minister of Mauritius was inaugurating the event. And what I noticed is when he was lighting the lamp, he took off his shoes and then he was lighting the lamp. I mean, if you have to see Hinduism in its purest form, those spiritual practices that we in India have forgotten, you must go and visit Mauritius. And you will feel, as Indians, you will feel so proud. That itself is a joy forever. Secondly, Excellency, I do agree that we need to, control, the flow of tourists, and we need high-end tourists. But Excellency, I beg to differ. I have written a book on which I got a doctorate from Netherlands on poverty eradication and economic development tourism, an action plan for creating 100 million jobs. And I had the honor of discussing it with Modi ji when he was Chief Minister of Gujarat. And a lot of things which are there in my book are now being implemented. I'll give you an example of Singapore, which is probably smaller than Mauritius. But they have been able to regulate the flow of tourists. And they have been able to, plan tourism in such a way that without spoiling the environment, they have areas like Sentosa Island, which they have kept greenery and other things, and even some streets, they have maintained the heritage. But at the same time, they have not stopped the development. And 100,000 is nothing. Today, a country like Thailand gets 1.5 million tourists from India alone. Malaysia gets about 1 million, Singapore gets about 1.5 million. And Mauritius, firstly we must have an open sky. With the limited flights of Air Mauritius and a few Vistara flights are not enough. Right? there has to be a two-way traffic. More Indians have to go to Mauritius, and once there's a, now seats, there's a difficulty in getting seats, even with Vistara and even with Indigo flight. So we must, like we have with the SAARC countries, and even with ASEAN, we have an open sky. With Mauritius, there's no reason why we shouldn't have an open sky. And as many number of flights that want to come from India or from Mauritius, they should be allowed. That is one thing. Secondly, a trend which I see is religious tourism. Now with Ayodhya, coming up, people from all over the world are going to come to India. And it is high time that they can make side trips to Mauritius. And they are high spenders because there are more than 20 million people of Indian origin all over the planet. And they would like to visit. Saudi Arabia, after oil, makes maximum money from Hajj. And they have a ministry for religious tourism for Hajj. So why can't the places where there are people of Sanatan Dharam or Hindu origin can make travel within the region? So this will benefit economically and socially and culturally both the countries. Yeah. So I know you kept me for the last, but
Not least.
I just want to make one last point that yes, we have to control tourism and we have to have quality tourists, but at the same time, we should not stop economic development because tourism is one industry that can create millions of jobs. Thank you.
Thank you very much. May I request the lady to come and address it, please? I don't come here.
His Excellency Ambassador of Mauritius, Dr. Gupta, my colleague Mr. Sangam, has also been the former CP of Delhi. Esteemed guests who are present here, thank you so much for conducting and inviting us over here. In fact, everything has been said about tourism and the reasons why tourism should be promoted, because now, if anything that we need to promote, whether technology or business, tourism is an integral part of it. Or rather, I would say, now whether it has to be a sync of a balance of the mind and body, tourism should be participating in every activity of our lives. And this is something which we have to plan. In fact, we have to plan spending for tourism, we have to plan for participating in business along with tourism, and that is how it should be done. But actually, the way the challenges have been created, everything starts and then we actually look into the pros and cons of it. But in this particular thing, especially when we're talking about Mauritius, Mauritius is an integral part of India. Whether it is now promoting health, promoting tourism, or participating in every which form, nobody understands Mauritius better than India, and Mauritius understands India as much as we all participate. In fact, it used to be a French colony, and then of course a lot of people later from Mauritius. And now I really feel the shift, the way it has happened, it is a spiritual and a religious part of India as well. And a lot of people from Atalji's government that time were actually quite responsible for ensuring that Mauritius is always going to be, or rather India is going to be like a big brother to Mauritius, and that is continuing as well. But in spite of that kind of a legacy, the tourism has shifted much more to Singapore, much more to Thailand for two reasons. Singapore gives you an opportunity of business along with tourism, and that is the reason why a lot of Indians actually have a reason for it. And similarly for Thailand, now Thailand is becoming like a cheap destination for tourism, so all forms of tourism actually are participating in it. But yes, Mauritius should be actually a reason where Thailand or Singapore doesn't work as much, but it should be spiritual, religious, and business-wise. That is going to be attracting a lot of tourism from the Mauritius aspect. Apart from, as Mr. Goyal just mentioned, that it has to be two-way. There should be people where the flight should be so accessible that a business person should actually go there and work there and come back. Wouldn't have to plan that, okay, the flight and the duration of it should be as such. In fact, our company that we represent is Relega Enterprises, and we definitely would like to actually not only look for the corporate vacation, but we will definitely find more ways to visit Mauritius in a way where we can find business opportunities there and actually establish the offices and the corporate offices there. Much more for the health and health insurance that we also represent, and the MSME sector that can actually work and give opportunities for actually working on it rather than going to Europe. We should actually look into Mauritius. And in the next couple of days, we will be definitely looking into the aspect of looking to participate and generating more avenues, jobs, and creating offices in Mauritius. We look forward to actually work on that. Thank you very much.
We have Mr. Rashmiji Adelwal ji. Rakesh Thanerji, our former CP of Delhi, sir, please. Kapil ji. We have a diplomat from Embassy of USA, Priyanka from We have a diplomat friend from Embassy of Ghana. Please come forward. Ritu ji, and our board members can come forward. Naresh ji, आइए. We have Mr. Neem from Embassy of Fiji. Naresh Mangal ji. Shubha from Embassy of Fiji. We have a diplomat friend from Embassy of Nepal. Shivaji. We have Honorary Consul General of Albania. Naresh ji. Please, Mrs. Raji, please come. Raji, please come. We have Mrs. Jyoti Maya, patron of TI. Mr. Thank you. We have Mr. Ravi Gosai, BP ITO. Thank you. We have Mr. Lajpat Rai. Last but not the least, Mr. Randeep. शिवम जी आप आ जाए साथ में। शिवम जी को दे दीजिए। सर हम इधर हिंदी में। सर Thank you. We have Mr. Sanjay. Mr. Sanjay. Sanjay ji, आइए जो our GST and token for Mr. Chadha, our chairman for GTC India program, Heritage program. बेटा जी बीच में आओ। Chadha ji, you like to present something? Excellency, we like to honor our Guruji also. Guruji is from Odisha, he just arrived. Excellency Shivaji is taking care of the Rudra temple. He is inviting all the VIPs there. Ram Bhattacharya Guruji is taking care. Yes, sir. What is this for you? One gift from Kapilji. Take care from fast. Last but not the least, we like to honor and appreciate dear Mauritius, because they are only one to take us to Mauritius. Now we declare Rashmi ji as the delegate. On behalf of delegate, they want to I would like to have some guests from Artemis Hospital and Medical. Thank you very much. Meridian Hotel, okay. We have a friend from the Meridian. The last but not the least, we have a newsletter ready. I would call Rashmiji and our board members to come forward to release the new magazine. Sanaji, please come. And our diplomat friends, please come join us. Please come. Guruji, yes, let's support each other. We send you to WhatsApp. Please.
Sir, excuse me.
In the garage, you need to be here. It's like,
Sir. Yes, sir.
Thank you, sir. Sir, एक ऑफिशियल फोटो था, गौरव गुप्ता है,
अभ्युत्थानं धर्मस्य तदात्मांसि जामहं परित्राणाय साधूनां विनाशाय च दुष्कृतां धर्म संस्थापनार्थाय संभवामि युगे युगे कर्मण्येवाधिकारस्ते मा फलेषु कदाचन मा कर्मफले हेतुर्माते संगोस्तव कर्मणि। नमस्कार, मेरा नाम हिमांशु है। आज मैं आप सबके समक्ष एक बहुत सुंदर कविता प्रस्तुत करने जा रहा हूँ। हर एक संकट का हल होगा, हर एक संकट का हल होगा, वो आज नहीं तो कल होगा। माना की है अंधेर बहुत और चारों ओर नाकामी है, माना की है अंधेर बहुत और चारों ओर नाकामी है, माना की थक्के टूट रहे और सफल अभी दूरगामी है। जीवन की आपाधापी में जीने का ठिकाना छूट गया, जीवन की आपाधापी में जीने का ठिकाना छूट गया, माना की थके सपनों का नींदों में आना छूट गया, माना की सांसें उखड़ गई और धक्का लगता धड़कन से लो मान लिया कि साफ गया है पूर्ण दिन अत्तल। पर श्री कृष्ण ने साफ कहा है कि बस कर्म तुम्हारा कल होगा, कर्म अगर सच्चाई है तो कर्म कहाँ निष्फल होगा। हर एक संकट का हल होगा, वो आज नहीं तो कल होगा। एक कच्चा घड़ा हूँ मैं, एक कच्चा घड़ा हूँ मैं, फिर भी बरसात में खड़ा हूँ मैं। मुझे भी रहम है, कोई रहम है कि मैं टूट रहा हूँ, जो मैं चीख रहा हूँ, पर वो बेवकूफ है, मैं तो सीख रहा हूँ। ऐसे पहले बिछड़ा हूँ मैं, एक कच्चा घड़ा हूँ मैं। एक गाँव में ऊपर है, उसके ऊपर से अपने असूल बहुत है, और उसके ऊपर से सब लोग रहते हैं कि माँ भाई उधर जाओ तो फूल बहुत है। ये जो खिसक के मैं आगे जा रहा हूँ, ये जो फिसल के मैं पीछे आ रहा हूँ, ये जो पिघल के मैं बहता जा रहा हूँ, ये जो सिसक के मैं आगे बढ़ रहा हूँ। नीचे है खाइयाँ और मैं कांप रहा हूँ, अभी जिंदा हूँ अभी, और अभी हाँफ रहा हूँ। ऐसे पहले बिछड़ा हूँ मैं, एक कच्चा घड़ा हूँ मैं, एक कच्चा घड़ा हूँ मैं। हाथ में गिटार और सिर सोचता है, हाथ में गिटार और सिर सोचता है, जूतों में कंकड़ा लंबा लगता है, और भाई जब बुरे दिन आते हैं तो काटना ही मजे, और भाई जब बुरे दिन आते हैं तो काटना ही मजे। और मैं भी तो तुमको तो तुमको ही माफ करता हूँ। ये जो हंस रही है दुनिया मेरी नाकामियों पे ताने कस रही है दुनिया मेरी नादानियों पे, पर मैं काम कर रहा हूँ। मेरी सारी खामियों पे कल ये मारेंगे ताले, मेरी कहानियों पे कल जो बदलेगी हवा, ये सारे शर्माएंगे हमारे अपने हो क्या के ये गरमाएंगे, क्योंकि जिद्दी बड़ा हूँ मैं, एक कच्चा घड़ा हूँ मैं। और अंत में सिर्फ इतना कि अगर दिल में खोटे तो खाली हो जाना, कि हम वो हैं जो किस्मत के जाटों के शोर पे नाचते हैं, कि हम वो हैं जो किस्मत के जाटों के शोर पे नाचते हैं, जितनी जोर का जाटों उतनी जोर से नाचते हैं। I hope you like my performance.
आज GTTCI ने मॉरिशस एम्बेसी में, मॉरिशस हाई कमीशन नई दिल्ली में चाणक्यपुरी में एक इमर्जिंग टूरिज्म टू प्रमोट टूरिज्म इन मॉरिशस का एक संगोष्ठी का और एक सेमिनार का आयोजन किया नववर्ष के उपलक्ष्य में, जिसमें हिज एक्सेलेंसी एम्बेसडर डिलम ने और कई देशों के राजदूतों ने भाग लिया। इसमें प्रमुख USA के, नेपाल के, गुआना के, फिजी के, अल्बानिया के और भी कई देशों के, और काफ़ी टूरिज़्म इंडस्ट्री के चेयरपर्सन, वाइस प्रेसिडेंट और सेक्रेटरी, डिफरेंट ऑर्गेनाइजेशन उन्होंने भाग लिया और एक अच्छी चर्चा को यहाँ पे आज जन्म दिया और डिस्कशन हुआ, जिसमें टूरिज़्म मॉरिशस में क्या विशेषता है और कैसे बढ़ सकता है और क्या एनवायरनमेंट की डिमांड है वर्ल्ड टूरिज़्म के अंडर भी और मॉरिशस के अंदर, इसके ऊपर डिस्कशन हुआ। इसमें हमारी जो रेलीगियर की चेयरपर्सन है रश्मि सलूजा जी भी उपस्थित रहीं, हमारे CBI के और दिल्ली के एक्स पुलिस कमिश्नर राकेश अस्थाना जी और गुरु जी किरण जी फ्रॉम उड़ीसा और अयोध्या धाम से शिवम मिश्रा जी। इस तरह कुछ गणमान्य डिफरेंट फील्ड के, एक इसमें रिलीजियस टूरिज़्म पे भी चर्चा हुई कि मॉरिशस का बहुत टूरिज़्म रिलीजियस के लिए इंडिया में आता है और इंडिया का भी टूरिज़्म मॉरिशस जा रहा है डिफरेंट एस्पेक्ट के लिए, डिफरेंट एक्टिविटीज़ के लिए, तो उसको कैसे बढ़ाया जाए। मॉरिशस एम्बेसडर ने बहुत डिटेल यहाँ पे सबके साथ डिस्कस किया और हमने GTTCI की अपनी जो इस मंथ की न्यूज़लेटर है उसका अनावरण भी किया।